What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Passive Online Cash. Today I want to tell you the one stock I have $400,000 invested into. Yes, 400 grand. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Now I know what you guys might be thinking. $400,000 in one individual stock, that sounds crazy. And it pretty much is. Well, the gist of that is that this is actually an index fund. So I have $400,000 invested in one stock ticker, but it's actually an index fund and it's made up of a bunch of different really high quality stocks. In fact, it is called VTI. It's the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. And this index fund is how I've grown my wealth year over year. It's not betting on individual stocks and trying to pick and time the market. It's more just a general bet that over time, the stock market and the economy is going to improve. Yes, there are years that the stock market's going to go down and this will go down with it. But when the stock market goes up, this goes up with it. This allows you to get the general market performance of, say, the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 year over year. On average, I think this has returned somewhere in the ballpark of 10% when looking at 1926 to 2021 year over year. Now, during that time period, I think there were something like 23 out of 98 years that the annual profit or loss was actually a loss. So there's like a 28% chance that in one individual year, you are going to see a loss by owning an index fund such as this. But that's basically saying that 72% of the time, you are going to see a positive return on your investment, especially if your time horizon is longer than 1 year. For most investments, specifically when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're looking for a time horizon of well over 10 years. If you're in your 20s, you're looking at like a 40-year investment time horizon. 30s, 30-year investment time horizon, and right down the line. Given that amount of time, you can invest in a total stock market index fund like VTI, basically kick back and relax. And the reason I say that is because do you think right now where the economy is 20 or 30 years from now, do you think we're going to be better off or worse? Think about that for just a second. You're not talking about what's going to happen in the next 1 year, 2 years. Look at the great downturn of 2008, right? Everything came back by like 2012. The real estate market is booming now. Prices are right back up where they were back in 2008, and some are even higher. Real estate prices and other economic indicators show that we are on a better foundational basis now than we were in 2008, and here we are 12 years later. So if you had invested in this in 2007, ridden out the downturn and come back up, you'd still be ahead. So if your time horizon is over 10 years, this is an easy set it and forget it investment. It's actually my number one recommended investment tool for anybody in their 20s or 30s that doesn't really know much about investing. This is your opportunity to take money that you're saving, and rather than just putting it in a savings account, which earns like 1% interest if you're lucky, you can invest it into something that is going to follow the performance of the stock market, and you don't have to try to pick and choose and time it all out, right? You don't have to latch on to the winner and suck with the losers too. You can just pick this total stock market index fund, and you're betting that the stock market is going to go up over the next 20 or 30 years of your life. It's a really simple play. The more money you pile into this, the more investment return you will see in the long run. I personally have this set up so that I transfer about 25 to 30% of my monthly income into this investment. Plus, I have dividends that kick off because this pays, I think, like a 1.5% dividend right now. So not only am I seeing investment growth over that time period, I have cash flow coming in. You can utilize that cash flow or that dividend to pay some expenses around the house. Or what I like to do is I like to reinvest those dividends into more shares of ownership so that I have an even more accelerated growth pattern for the next 20 years of my life. Now, I'm 36 years old. I have been invested in VTI for something like 8 years now. I started doing it right around when I was 28 years old, and I have really, really enjoyed my time with this. And yeah, you might say, okay, we are on one of the longest bull runs in history, so that's really cool. I can't, argue or deny that the performance of the stock market has done reasonably well or better than normal, but again, I am not in control of the stock market. I could be born in another time period and be investing in the same thing, and maybe it's not going to perform as well. But my recommendation here is that if you're invested in the stock market and you're trying to pick winners and losers, you're going to see some losers out there. And that's why an index fund allows you to gain the market performance in general without having to pick those individual winners and losers and find that your general market performance is below average. There's nothing worse than investing your hard-earned money and losing it. Now, here are some of the top companies that VTI is actually invested in. Again, it's a total stock market index fund, but they do have a heavier allocation in some of the hotter performing stocks in the market. Some of their allocations are like 5% in Apple, roughly 5% in Microsoft. You have 1% in Johnson & Johnson, 1.5% in JP Morgan Chase. You have 2% in Google. You have larger allocations into the higher performing stocks, but you also have exposure to, Pfizer and all of these other companies that aren't at the top of the list, right? The smaller performing high growth stocks that are out there are still part of this stock market index. So you have exposure to all those high growth opportunities, and you also have a heavier allocation to the more stable, cash flow positive, and generally viable businesses that are in the marketplace today. This index fund has seen 8.5% return year over year since its inception and 13.5% in the past 10 years. Basically what that means is the past 10 years during this great bull run that we've had, the performance of this has almost been double its historical average, but in general the market has been doing better than it ever has. So with that performance in mind, this is an easy set it and forget it investment. Now, one last thing I want to tell you about this before I shut up and just let you carry on with other videos is that the cost to invest in this is extremely low. Get this, it is 0.03%. You don't have to go pay an index fund manager an exorbitant amount of money to get an investment of this quality. You don't have to pay a financial planner to pick all these individual stocks and give up 1% of your wealth year over year just for them to sit on those investments and kind of pick them and choose them. If anybody is telling you that they can pick stocks better than this, they would be the world's richest person and they'd be all over the news. The reality is nobody is better than the general market performance. Some people get lucky some years, and then they don't get lucky. Warren Buffett's best methodology to investing is buy and hold. Invest in things that you understand and stay away from the things that you don't. My investment strategy with VTI is simple. I don't understand everything, but I do bet the economy is going to continue to get better, and I do think that a total stock market exposure is a positive thing. Because of those things, I like investing in VTI, and even more so is that I'm not giving all my wealth away and I'm not giving my gains away to a financial manager, giving them 1% of my portfolio just for handling the money in their bank account or in their investment account. Having such a small expense ratio is really beneficial in your long-term growth because rather than giving away all of that extra capital, you're keeping it in there, investing it, and letting it grow for you. All right, that's all I'm going to ramble about this one. Guys, I hope you appreciate the video. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and hit that little bell icon as well because I'm going to be back with a lot more content here shortly. So thanks for watching. And again, check out VTI, Vanguard's Total Stock Market Index Fund. It's VTI. That's all for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.